we've been talking a lot about AEW and stuff like that. So we're going to venture into what's called Phil Marks bookmarks here. And we've been kind of clowning on Tony Khan, but we got to keep that going.
A lot of people sent me this one today.
Okay, yeah. So I was seeing this on Twitter. We're just going to react to some stuff, and then we'll talk about Meltzer. But at Awful Wrestling, good friend of the show,
yes.
He tweets out or X's out and says, "Don't talk to me about how ratings aren't important. Either Tony is jumping for joy about the Collision rating, as you can see. Pardon me, I'm dyslexic as fuck. But wait till Thursday." So Tony Khan, it's a screenshot. He says, "We celebrate the 5-year anniversary of AEW this Sunday. AEW Dynamite pay-per-view. This past Saturday, AEW Collision on TNT had the biggest audience since September 2023. It's great news. I was wondering where the Fast Nationals were." So Tony's like feeling spicy. He's taking shots.
Taking a shot at the king.
Yeah, dude. See you all for the go home show. So, goddamn, man, what are your thoughts, Alfred, about Tony Khan's little, he's feeling peppy?
Listen, I have no problem with it. Like, is he not supposed to celebrate this? And if you look at the comments, he's just getting cooked in the comments. But that's what a promoter is supposed to do. And the thing about Tony Khan that I think is one of AEW's biggest Achilles heels is that Tony Khan is just too nice of a guy, too much of kind of a dork. And like he doesn't take enough of this kind of pride in his product, in that I need him to be celebrating this more. I need him to be more of a carny. He can't just be this nice guy who's in the middle. Wrestling is not a business built for nice people, especially when it comes to the promoter. Okay, now there are a lot of great people in wrestling. You do get a lot of people who are just good people, good classic good guys. Titus O'Neil is an example of probably the greatest guy in wrestling.
Yeah.
Having said that, like the promoters in wrestling, I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like, you just have to have that dog in you in a bad way. Like, you just can't be this soft, let CM Punk walk all over you. If you want to manage some of these big stars with their enormous egos, you have to be kind of an asshole. And so this rings as kind of like dorky with Tony Khan in terms of, I like that he's being a promoter in promoting his product and saying he's celebrating and stuff like that. But I want to see more of the promoter side in terms of him being a cold-blooded killer. And I do think that will come if AEW is able to last. That will come with more years of experience, more cynicism. And I thought it was funny, that Fast Nationals thing. For those people who don't know, and this is Tony's problem, is that he says these things like everybody knows what he's talking about. 90% of people don't know what Fast Nationals are, but the Fast Nationals are basically the viewership that comes out early on. So on the weekends for Rampage, the Fast Nationals will come out and they'll say, this is an estimate number of what Rampage does. And I'll get these Fast Nationals through back channels, coincidentally, when AEW's numbers are kind of down, and I just, whether they're up or down, sometimes they're up. There's a lot of times where like AEW will be on an all-star weekend, so their Fast Nationals will be inflated because there's a lot of markets that carried AEW and carry that number, whatever. So whether they're up, sometimes they're down, but I send out the Fast Nationals, and when they do bad, people freak out and they don't like it. And Tony Khan, we've had some conversations privately, and I won't get into that, but let's just say Tony Khan's not a big fan. Tony Khan's not a big fan of these Fast Nationals. I will just say that. Okay? So him saying that was like a shot at me, and I guess I was the first person to do it, so everybody associates it with me. But then now, after I did it, a bunch of people do it now. A bunch of people get the Fast Nationals and report them out. But let me ask you this, like, putting out the Fast Nationals on a week where AEW was down, and so the numbers are lower than they usually are, like a lot of people who are pro AEW, they hide the Fast Nationals. They don't want to put out the Fast Nationals. Hiding the Fast Nationals is every bit as quote unquote unethical as putting them out, because now you're hiding information. By looking at the Fast Nationals, whether if they're up or down, I can tell you exactly what AEW's rating is going to be. So this is useful information. It's not bullshit numbers. They're either like 7% higher, 7% lower, or sometimes it's different. But if you really study the Fast Nationals, you can tell, okay, so based on the Fast Nationals, the final number will do this. And that's why I put them out, because it's information that people can use.
Right. I love it. I love that. And how timely that you were set to come on the show on PWT Podcast, and Tony Khan's taking shots, dude. And I don't know. That's sort of how I interpreted it too. I was like, oh, he's going for Alfred now. And see you all for the go home. And sometimes he'll tweet about the overrun just to sort of tack on to what you said. Like he tweets out like, oh, and there will be an overrun. It's like no one fucking cares. That's weird. Like that's cool to you because you're like a business insidery guy. And I don't know. We have some fan cope here. The only reason for AEW not being the biggest wrestling show in the world is WWE fans. At the end of the day, the only way for AEW to increase viewership is to increase the number of WWE fans who watch. There are no more wrestling fans in the pool other than WWE fans. And they won't watch because they're brainwashed. AEW, if they were to copy WWE to get their fans, would be scolded and still not watched by those fans for being a copy. The truth really is that WWE fans are the only reason AEW isn't the number one wrestling promotion right now. So I guess WWE fans are the reason AEW is dying. That's according to an AEW.
That's a pretty ridiculous comment. And it's funny because like some of what he's saying is true, but that was always going to be the thing. Like WWE is going to be number one no matter what. So it's like saying, to borrow a phrase from Tony Khan, like the only reason Coke is the only reason Pepsi is number two is because of Coke. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Yes, exactly. But the thing is, he's right to the degree that when AEW was hot, it was because so many disillusioned WWE fans went to the product. And then when WWE got hot, there's only so much time in the week for wrestling. So that's a you problem. AEW's job is to make their product hot enough to where they can attract a WWE fan base. Where that person is wrong, where Phil Smith is absolutely wrong, is this idea that there's only people who only watch WWE. I could tell you firsthand that's bullshit. I go to GCW shows every single time they're in LA, and there are all kinds of people who do not watch WWE. And they watch, and they don't even watch AEW. They're just GCW hardcore fans, Yeah. And there's all kinds of, even when WWE was kind of slumping and there was no competition, that was when like WrestleMania week, there'd be all these wrestling shows, which you still see, but they would kind of latch on to a Bloodsport, to a ROH, or when it was not owned by Tony Khan. So there is a huge market for wrestling fans, and AEW can make all the excuses they want. We see the product, we see the problems, and I just think AEW needs to get his shit together. Easier said than done, but that's what they need to do.
No, absolutely. And I mean, we can just harp on it all day. Like, here's Bryan Alvarez coping about the Collision viewership, and he's like, it's the highest since September, 18 to 49 was the highest since February. And this is where I get pissed off, is that people will come and be like, oh, like I'll have Evil Dose on, and he's talking about numbers, and we're talking numbers and stuff, and people are like, why would you care about these sorts of things? And it's like, dude, because that's what they talk about. Like, that's what these people try. Like, they talk about the key demo, but then we go like, but the overall ratings fucking in the shits. And then that number doesn't matter, but this one matters. And it's always just goalpost shifty. Like, even Tony Khan there, he's talking about numbers. So I don't want to hear shit about, oh, why do we talk about the numbers? Just enjoy wrestling. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. No, because when it's in your favor, you brag about it, as you rightfully so. And when it's not in your favor, you don't want to brag about it, rightfully so. But don't fucking tell me I can't focus on that shit. You know what I mean? It drives
100% correct. I was just thinking about this morning, because you're right. Like, I remember a time when so it wasn't about total viewership. The first time AEW lost to WWE NXT in total viewers, then the excuse was, no, it's all about 18 to 49, because that's the number the advertisers like. And AEW is doing great in 18 to 49, right? And this morning, and then it became from that to total homes. The total homes are down. So considering the total homes, AEW is doing great. This morning, the goalpost has moved to where Dave Meltzer was saying, well, if you look at all the shows that are down, AEW is down the least of all these shows. They're only down 20%. Eventually it's gonna be, if you look at all the wrestling companies that have gone out of business, well, AEW went out of business gracefully. They went out of business with a 5-star match. Nobody's done that.
So my God. Jesus.
The amount of twists and turns that they've had to do. 18 to 49 isn't even a thing. Like, they don't even say that word anymore, because if you look at the 18 to 34, which is the main reason 18 to 49 is down, 18 to 34 has completely disappeared. And that's the scariest thing. That's the thing that the kids have stopped watching AEW. And it's very hard to get those kids back. Like, 18 to 34 has cratered. And I honestly think, I haven't heard this out there anywhere, and this is just my school of thought. And it's not, I've kind of followed the numbers and the pattern, and my gut tells me that when they started promoting that CM Punk brawl-in footage, I think there were those 18 to 34. Those are your casual fans. Those are the people who are not going to watch because they're reading dirt sheets. Those are just going to watch for the big stars. Yeah. Those people probably thought CM Punk's coming back to AEW.
Yeah. 100%.
Went on, and as it became more and more obvious that CM Punk's not coming back to this company, he's with WWE. they just abandoned the product. Like, well, screw this. I'm not going to watch this big storyline if CM Punk's not going to actually be involved in it. It's, you know, it's like teasing that the final boss, The Rock, we're going to show footage and then The Rock doesn't come back. Well, 18 and 34-year-olds are going to be over it.
Yeah, they're just like fuck this. And then also, like, we were talking about Tony, and he's spread too thin. I say it ad nauseum on the show. He's doing too much. Mm-hmm. He's in the sports world. He's trying to write all these wrestling shows. You were saying he needs to get his rounds in as a booker / promoter. I agree. That's what he should be doing in ROH, just booking that while he allows someone else to take control of AEW as far as like booking, creative, all of that. I've harped on this ad nauseum, but the biggest problem is you tweeted this out, and at This Is Nasty. Imagine explaining Ospreay and Omega's star rating feud to your girlfriend who doesn't watch pro wrestling. The breakup wouldn't come fast enough. And my whole thing is like, dude, every girl I've dated, they get forced to watch fucking wrestling. It's just that simple. And I don't know, man. Like, my girl trying to explain fucking AEW shit to her, it makes no goddamn sense. But she does like wrestling. She watches WWE, but when AEW's on, that's, you know, she just goes on her phone and tunes out. She doesn't understand why people are fighting a lot of the time and shit like that. And I just want to play your Time Cop Inception. It's my favorite movie. I'm gonna play a clip of you talking to us here. So let's watch this.
But imagine trying to explain a 5-star feud between Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, and Dave Meltzer to your girlfriend. So there's this white, highly athletic wrestler from New Japan Pro Wrestling named Kenny Omega, and he's in a rivalry with this other white, highly athletic wrestler from New Japan Wrestling named Will Ospreay. And both
dude, it's exactly what it is, dude.
Wrestlers
it's so good.
Check pretty much the same boxes because they're mostly known for their wrestling ability with average charisma, no memorable promos, no seasoning, no grits, no collard greens, no sizzle, and zero relatability to anybody who doesn't appreciate the delicate nuances of the true sport of professional wrestling. And then there's this guy in his 60s from San Jose who grades matches based on a 5-star rating scale. And his grades have nothing to do with the build-up or storyline behind the match. It's only about the match itself and how hard these two oiled-up males can hit each other, how well executed their holds are, how many times they drop themselves on their heads, and being in the Tokyo Dome certainly helps too. Anyway, a 5-star match is considered a great match. And one day, Kenny Omega broke that scale by having a 7-star match. But now, Will Ospreay is considered the new Kenny Omega, and he just had a match that got 6.5 stars. No. Honey, wake up. Please, wake
up. Dude, I love this so much.
Wake up. Stay with me. Okay. So Ospreay had a 6.5-star rating recently, and Kenny Omega got jealous because Kenny's now saying that Kenny broke the Dave Meltzer star ratings to the point where Dave no longer knows what he's talking about. And to settle this internet beef, Kenny is going to get into a fake fight against Will Ospreay to try to fix the star rating system once and for all. That's so relatable, right, babe? Babe, wake up. Why did you fall asleep again? The story is so relatable. OMG, did I just bore you into a coma?
Oh, my God. And I guess that's the cold open for just the last little bit we're going to do here. It's Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week. So exactly, Dave has self-inserted himself.
Imagine trying to explain a 5-star feud between Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay.
Sorry, editing, Phil. But Dave has like inserted himself into this whole like Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay. They're working a feud, actually, like whatever. It's about me. And so just Dave Meltzer here tweets out, I guess he says, I was just at a movie theater, and when Reigns was on the screen, no reaction. Ask 100 people on the street. Hogan, Rock, Cena, and Rousey are the only ones half will know. So that's him basically coping because this guy asked him, 100 people on the street who Dean Ambrose is, and I bet 80% will give you a blank stare. Roman Reigns is the guy. And then Dave just burying fucking Roman Reigns basically, and he's like, I just saw him at a movie theater. It was actually whatever. Batman, no reaction. So it's like, what the fuck does it like? Come on, Dave. Like, it's just there wasn't not no reaction, but he's not like a big movie star yet. But I don't know, just hating on Roman Reigns, dude. What do you make of that?
And this is also the bigger picture, and this is something Dave likes to do, is he'll take his 63-year-old life and like the one or two people he talks to about something, and then he'll envelop it into like that horrible sample size, he'll turn it into like, and this is what everybody thinks. So he'll just be like, I put it this way. I met this girl who, she's my friend's neighbor, and she was watching wrestling, and she saw Dean Ambrose, and she was like, wow, this Dean Ambrose guy's really cool. So Dean Ambrose is really, really big with women. Like, women love Dean. It's like, that's one woman. That's one woman that talked to Dave. So like he goes to one movie theater and he's no reaction. And so I actually responded to that tweet, which I rarely do, but I just came up and I just thought it was so hilarious. And this is a true story, is that I was in a half empty theater in Inglewood watching the Von Erich movie. And when MJF turned up, nobody did anything. And so I was just kind of using that to be like it's such a bad sample size that who's to say what these reactions really are? Like, I was in a half empty theater and nobody reacted to MJF. So that means that MJF is not over in Inglewood, which, as somebody who went to Inglewood, and it was the loudest I've ever heard any crowd for anybody during that shoot promo he cut against Tony Khan, which actually came back to bite the company, but like, he is over in Inglewood.
And I agree with you there. I was in a theater. I saw that. I was fortunate enough. I got to go like see the Iron Claw early. And there was like 9 people there, and fucking nobody knew who MJF was either, but he was in it for like a split second. Yeah. But so Dave Meltzer, we were talking about the demos and the numbers. So he's talking about this is AEW's concerning decline in 18 to 34 viewership over the last 4 weeks. Dave says the booking in this way didn't change for like Gotham weeks ago. Tony Khan did the thing with the neck brace at the NFL thing, and the thing with comparing to Weinstein and all that. But I can't believe that that's the reason. God, he's so offensive as a writer. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Now, obviously, this is him talking, but there's so many edit mistakes in his on actual like Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online as well, where it's like, dude, get an editor.
Yeah, he just, it's stream of conscious. It's just run on sentences, and he says that he goes back and edits it, but he totally doesn't.
No, we call it out all the time here, folks. But Dave goes on to say, obviously they've been doing the Young Bucks storyline, and I don't think that's the reason, but perhaps that the ratings are declining, Dave. There's physical evidence of that being the case. Yeah. That is something that changed. That if there's anything that changed in the show, changed. I was saying it's not cool, and people were taking that all wrong and totally misinterpreting, as always, totally misinterpreting what I said. So Dave just stooged that whenever he says shit, people misinterpret what he fucking says. That's because you're a marble mouth Meltzer, okay?
Yes. Blame yourself. Like, learn how to put a sentence together and have some convictions behind some of your points. Make sure they're not so goddamn batshit. Like, don't blame people for, yes, you're going to get gaslit on Twitter. And here's the thing about Dave. We've lost Dave Meltzer. We lost him. I judge people a lot of times. I don't know if you because you might be the exception to this rule if you have a bunch of tweets. And I do know people who have a lot of tweets who aren't crazy, but if you have over 100,000 tweets, you have been lost to the Twitter matrix. Dave has 130,000 tweets. Damn. He spends all day responding to random trolls. He seeks validation from people he does not know. And like, of course your stuff is going to get misconstrued because he's probably at the point of his life where he's senile, speaking a different language because he's been sucked into the Twitter vortex.
I wonder how many tweets I have. I don't think 100,000. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's 100,000.
Yeah, but he does, man, spend a lot of time doing that too. I'll do it about like, maybe I'll give it like 30 to an hour a day of just arguing with some marks.
Dude, you only have 20,000 posts. That's my range. I got about 30 since 2009. I've had 30,000. Like, people think I'm always on Twitter because of the reaction that I get for a lot of stuff. My thing is like, I like post and ghost. I just post things that I kind of go about my day. Yeah. And I post so that I can kind of bring attention to things, and so I can kind of maybe get an idea for some of my opinions that are really connecting, for better or worse, and I could turn that into a bit. But I'm not on Twitter. Like, I do not think it's healthy to sit on Twitter all day.
No, I agree.
And like, Twitter is a fun place. I like Twitter, but that's because I'm not always on Twitter all day, every day, like reading what people say, getting in fights with people, like a tweet that's negative about me. Do what you want. Like, Twitter is a source. In the early days of Pro Wrestling Bits, I have Twitter to thank because it was Twitter and Forbes. I would put links to Pro Wrestling Bits in my Forbes articles, and I would tweet about it. And that's where 100% of my traffic came from, because YouTube was like, YouTube's not going to put your stuff out there if they don't think you're going to be around. Until you're around for years and until you've proven yourself, YouTube's going to ignore you largely. And then once it started picking up steam, now YouTube has, been very good to me. But Twitter, I have nothing but good things to say about it. But that's because I'm not obsessed with Twitter.
Yeah, I like Twitter. Yes, for real, dude. I like it, man. I like Twitter. I like the discourse. I think it's funny. I get some of my best laughs from Twitter or X, whatever. And yeah, man, the YouTube grind. You're absolutely right about that. That's why I'm pretty blessed and fortunate too, because like I've been at it for like just over a year, and I'm getting like a pretty significant like YouTube following and stuff. And that's and I try to parlay it into X. I just, whenever I stir up the shit and I kind of put the bait out there, I'll just like post the link to my channel underneath.
Yeah. Yes.
That's sort of my game. That's the game I play with X. Like I know I'm going to say something that's going to piss people off. Then I drop my link down there, and I don't give a fuck if you watch my videos and hate or like them. Just come watch them,
Absolutely.
But yeah,
that's the way you play the game. And I'd love to collab with you, by the way.
Well, let's do it. Oh, we should totally.
We could do dueling Meltzers. There's all kinds of things that we could do. I think.
Oh my god, yeah. We'll talk about that definitely, like off the pod, and we'll DM about that. But I just got this. Let's finish this one. Then I got one clip of Bryan Alvarez because he gets lumped into the Dave Meltzer dumb moment of the week, and then I'll get you out of here, my good friend. And I appreciate you so much. But Dave goes on to say the most important. It's a way to explain why one age group, the most important age group, is down significantly while everything else is not down at all. Are they turning some people off in every age group? A little, of course. You always do. Do the playoffs hurt? Of course they do. They always do. But this is more than that. Yeah, it's because people fucking hate the Bucks and Jack Perry, dude. If you haven't figured this out, it's pretty simple. So speaking of JD from NY, and this is the last bit that I wanted to play. Here is Bryan Alvarez saying the shit that, and JD's like, I've been saying this for months.
Oh, it's for like, months. Oh, congratulations for months. It's like,
bro,
and we're out here like, man, I've been saying this since 2022.
Yeah, me too, dude. It's like he blocked me for saying this shit. Yeah, exactly. I started Pro Wrestle Times as a Twitter account, I think in 2021 or something.
Yeah.
And and he blocked me like early on. He's one of the first dudes to fucking block me just for like speaking honestly about AEW. Now you look, he unblocked me all of a sudden. So you see him here, and he's saying for months. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? There's been a bunch of us saying this forever. You guys are just catching up. And the worst part is how Bryan Alvarez and Dave Meltzer are such schmarmy pricks about, like, they come to these realizations sort of, and then they speak them like, oh, and I'll say it and everyone will get mad and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, dude, that's what has been happening to me for the last year since I started my fucking podcast. Like,
exactly.
It's like, dude, where you guys, they're in such a fucking bubble. Everyone exists in bubbles. Sometimes you exist in multiple bubbles, right? And then sometimes bubbles overlap. But like Dave and these dudes are just, I don't know. I feel like Dave really thinks that what he thinks really influences wrestling. And as long as Tony Khan's running AEW, it truly does in a way. But either way, here's Alvarez speaking some truth for once.
But where is a thread that connects all of these shows that makes you want to tune into the next show? The big cliffhanger to lead you to Collision. A Dynamite cliffhanger leads you to the next Dynamite, or a Dynamite 3 weeks down the road. It doesn't lead you to Collision. A Collision cliffhanger doesn't lead you to Dynamite. It's like,
this is, I swear to God, dude, I go live every Wednesday and Saturday, and we watch Collision and Dynamite. Like I watch it with the viewers and the listeners.
Yeah.
And I swear there's people in my chat who I have got to watch AEW who wouldn't even be otherwise watching it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they groan through it and shit. But we talk about this all the time. We're like, you can't do I've been saying this for months, years, dude. You can't do Dynamite shit. I know Collision's only been around for like a year, but it's like you can't do Dynamite shit. And then the way they pitched Collision was it's like it's its own show. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're doing Dynamite. What's the first thing the Bucks did? Okay, sorry, I'm all over the place, but what's the first thing the Bucks did?
You're absolutely right. I completely agree.
They took a victory lap and then they started blending Dynamite shit in with Collision and fucking ruined Collision. So it's like, Bryan, you're saying this now, and Meltzer's this guy where it's like, you tell him, we don't know there's going to be an overrun, Dave. Dave's like, well, I did. They told me. I called him on the phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, Dave, not everyone can do that. Call Tony on the phone and tell him to not do Collision shit on Dynamite, bro. Like, or whatever, vice versa. Because none of these stories, that's why people go, where's the story? And then everybody's like, well, there is a story. Don't you pay attention? It's like, no, because no one watches fucking Rampage. So don't progress any story from Dynamite if that's the only show anyone's watching. And now nobody's watching that. And it's eventually just going to turn into Collision as well. And it's sad, but Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, I think Collision is above Rampage, and Rampage is going to be Rampage has turned into dark, and it's just a bad brand. If you look at the ratings pattern for even if it follows Dynamite, people just do not fuck with Rampage. It's just this cold show.
It's ass, dude. It's the one show where I'm like, if I miss it, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There's so many things going wrong here in the middle of everything's okay. Does that make sense? Am I the only one? Does anybody?
Am I the only one? Yeah, it's just me and Alfred and everyone else standing over here going, what the fuck?
There's a whole Twitter sphere of people who have been saying this, and you've had blinders on.
Yeah, dude. Dave blocked me just for saying this.
You know what I'm talking about here?
No, I get it. Yes. When a match and a good show ends, you should be not just that was a good match, but also I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, what's next?
And the two questions you almost never ask about AEW matches are what happens next? And I don't know if it's a question, but man, that was a satisfying payoff to a long-term storyline or an exciting chapter in the storyline or something. Stuff just happens.
Yes, when every
stuff just happens. That's what I've been saying. You guys want to get mad at me. Yeah.
Yeah, this professional wrestling is, I mean, here's how long that this has been a talking point on my channel is that when I was talking about the Jericho Appreciation Society, the funny thing about the Jericho Appreciation Society is they're supposed to be heels. Why are they heels? Because they do sports entertainment in this pro wrestling company. Ooh, bad sports entertainers. But do you know what happened with the Jericho Appreciation Society? They all got over as baby faces for the sports entertainment they were doing.
Yeah, man.
They proved inadvertently that sports entertainment trumps pro wrestling, even in a pro wrestling company. Chris Jericho got over for doing the Ocho. Jack Hager got over for his hat gimmick, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
Daniel Garcia, that's when he started his dance, which essentially saved his career. They all got over by doing these little sports entertainment things, even though that was supposed to get them heat as heels. But it's like, no matter what company you're in North America, people want to see entertainment just as much, if not more, as wrestling.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's where AEW fucked up. They should have been sports-based entertainment.
Yes.
That's what it should have been.
Like they have all this wrestling. But, again, as we said earlier, in this day and age, all wrestling is great. Like the bottle of Vince is gone. All wrestling is great. You got to have something else that differentiates yourself.
Exactly.
Show is a great self-contained show. There's no incentive to watch another show unless you just want to watch great wrestling that night. Could you have skipped this Collision and missed nothing?
Yeah, so man, just pretty much saying what we've been saying, and I mean that wraps up this segment called Dave Meltzer Wrestling Observer Dumb Moment of the Week.
It's got to be hard to choose just one.
What's that?
It's got to be hard to choose just one. That's
no, dude. Tony Khan and Bryan both get lumped into that a lot together. So I mean, it's just part of it.